Gosh, the A Vision of Shadows books really feel like relics of the ancient past nowadays. Well, at least from my perspective. I've just made so many videos over every aspect of the Broken Code that my recollection of these books from 2016 to 2018 has long since become blurry. When it comes to remembering these characters, Needletail was a rebellious and passionate cat with well-established shortcomings that led to a rather memorable redemption arc. Twigbranch was a bubbly young cat who wasn't afraid to make changes to her life to ensure her own happiness, adding little sparks of excitement to an otherwise lackluster second half of the arc. Alderheart was always nervous yet calculated, and was great at showing aspects of his character that the reader could relate to, sometimes boring but really shining in books 1 and 6. In Violetshine, she overcame such unfortunate circumstances in her kithood to... yeah, I'm sorry. Like I said, my memory of A Vision of Shadows isn't the best right now. If only there was someone I knew who recently reread A Vision of Shadows who could conveniently refresh my memory on aspects of Violetshine's character that I don't quite remember. But the chances of that happening are pretty low.
And done. Finally finished the last few chapters. Oh, hey Akira! Fancy seeing you here on your own channel. I hear you were looking for someone with some nice fresh Violetshine memories. I happen to have just finished rereading her arc, so I'm sure I could offer some insight.
Oh, hi there, Sunny. You've come just in time. The whole world is dying to know. Is Violetshine cool?
Whew, I wish. Violetshine occupied a uniquely important place in the story of A Vision of Shadows, even among her fellow protagonists. She's the only point-of-view character who was in the right place to see ShadowClan's decline in culture, Darktail's rise to and fall from power, and later on SkyClan's return to the lake and the struggles they faced fitting in with the original 4 lake clans. Maybe Needletail being a point-of-view character could have solved some of those problems, but failing that, Violetshine is all we have to view the main story from. So it's a shame that her character never got a solid foundation, or the growth expected of someone with so much book time devoted to them. It all started to dawn on me in her first chapters, where the whole of ShadowClan, Needlepaw even included for a while, was unnecessarily mean to her after they themselves had torn her from her sister with great effort so they could have one of the supposed prophecy cats to themselves. Come to think of it, ShadowClan collectively bullying the young protagonist for virtually nothing reminds me a lot of Shadowsight's treatment in Darkness Within too, so maybe this was just build-up for that. But with both Violet Kit and Shadowsight, it doesn't do them any favors as characters, building foundations of sympathy without giving you any reasons to specifically like them as cats. In Violetchine's case, you just want her to escape ShadowClan, a situation outside of her control that presents no opportunities for personal growth. But she did have another place where she could have been given areas to grow in, when Violet Kit was taken to see Darktail. But while everyone else at the meeting seemed taken in by his philosophy about the clans being too strict and cold to outsiders, Violet Kit actually wasn't convinced at all. That seemed like a really strange choice to me. It disconnects her from the main philosophical conflict in the first half of the arc, and once again denies her a chance at gaining her own character.
Yeah, it feels like the authors wanted her to be in the center of the conflict, but for some reason didn't want to compromise her moral purity to do that. She is a kid at this time, so while I wouldn't expect her to immediately take the mindset of a malicious villain or anything like that, surely with her lack of experience in, well, life, she could have been swayed by Needletail's ideology a little more than she was. Needletail is the only cat in her life that gave her the time of day. She should be more capable of influencing Violet Kit's beliefs. If ShadowClan cats such as Pinenose had been better role models to her, then she could possibly have more reason to disagree with the way of Darktail's kin. But as it stands, her moral development shouldn't be as far along as it is. She's a literal child. She doesn't have a reason to be any more mature than Needletail. Maybe she could grow to respect clan tradition and values after she trains under Dawnpelt as a full apprentice. But this is before that time, so the authors sort of took away any chance for Violet Kit to grow as a character by making her already know what's right from day one. And the fact that she's just being tossed around by Needletail despite her opinions doesn't give us any way of tracking her progress as a character.
Yeah, let's talk about Needletail. After all, that's most of what Violet does. Much of her time in both Thunder and Shadow and Shattered Sky is just spent watching Needletail, along with ShadowClan, Darktail, and the kin, do things she doesn't agree with, which she does complain about in her own head, but she never does anything about it because the only things she cares about that could cause her to act are Needletail and Twigpaw. She consistently decides to stick by Needletail rather than Twigpaw, which is the biggest choice she ever gets to make as a character, so it really should be well-founded. And unfortunately, it really isn't. Needletail treated her badly as a kid, ignoring her and only bringing her to meet Twig Kid after Elderpaw's prodding. Even when they do become friends, there are multiple instances in which Violet Kit sees Needlepaw/Needletail treat her badly and feels betrayed. Yet this is the cat she sticks beside. Meanwhile, Twig Kit/Twigpaw was always kind to her. They both wanted to be together since the beginning and enjoyed each other's company. But when Twigpaw decided to not stay as a prisoner, Violetpaw took it as a personal attack and refused to forgive her or go to her even when she does eventually decide to leave the kin in Needletail. That instance is even stranger because she chooses to go back to Shadow Clan, the clan who treated her so well the first time. If she can hold a grudge this badly towards Twigpaw, it feels really inconsistent for her to hold no ill will towards the group that hated her and made her feel excluded for her whole life. So, regardless of her reasons, once the kin and Shadow Clan fuse, she sticks by Needletail's side forever. At this point in time, they also start having random moments where she does believe that the kin are doing the right thing by driving the other clans out, but they never last long and are never explained, especially since she, out of all the original kin members, wasn't ever taken in by Darktail's words. It's hard to pin down anything about her when she doesn't seem to base her reactions to cats and events on anything consistently from moment to moment.
Violetpaw can feel a little soulless at this time. She has very clear opinions that go against those of Darktail's kin, but insists on staying with Needletail because plot convenience. Before this arc, we had Ivypool in the Dark Forest, and after this arc, we had Bristlefrost reporting the Bramblestar. Both situations set up the spy working for the villain plot better, as they had distinct character flaws that put them in the situation, and they had to overcome these flaws to escape it. Ivypool with her jealousy, and Bristlefrost with her lack of self-reflection. But Violetpaw has no character flaw that allows her to be roped into Darktail's schemes. It was merely Needletail giving her the shove. And as time passes, she has less and less reason to show loyalty to Needletail, yet somehow her connection only gets stronger.
I do believe they at least tried to get her more involved with the conflict in Shattered Sky. Needletail's beloved, Rain, was killed by Darktail, and this shook Needletail's loyalty, which in turn made Violetpaw also want to leave the kin, slowly as to be safe. This is also where she manages to rekindle with Twigpaw, although she only apologizes for attacking her during a recent battle and not for her standoffish attitude for a long while before that. Shattered Sky also gives her a half-foil relationship with Darktail, where he clearly sees himself in her shoes and she clearly doesn't get it, reciprocate, or even think about it much, except insofar as it helps her betray him. It really is odd how heavily invested they wanted Darktail to be in Violetpaw and her loyalty, without having her feel any attachment back to him. But then Shattered Sky ends, and with 3 entire books left to go, Violetshine goes back to doing pretty much nothing, except really liking Tree for reasons neither of them are ever able to explain, and getting mad at Twigpaw yet again for leaving her, this time from SkyClan and Hawkwing. But that isn't resolved either, as she eventually just comes to Twigpaw's warrior ceremony and seems fine, and then never mentions it and thinks fondly of her sister as SkyClan prepares to leave the lake again.
Even in the 3 boring books of A Vision of Shadows, we still have interesting enough conflicts for Twigbranch and Alderheart. Twigbranch has to decide what clan she belongs in, go through ups and way downs in her relationship with Finleap. Alderheart has the Velvet romance and the Deathberry craziness, but the conflicts that Violetshine is given are far more external, and we can't dive into her character as a result. We get her in a quest to find SkyClan cats, we get her having to deal with the threat of Sleekwhisker, and we get her having to deal with Juniperclaw shenanigans. All those conflicts have a lot to say about SkyClan as a whole, but not much about Violetshine. Her biggest personal stakes are her relationships with Hawkwing, Twigbranch, and Tree, but we don't get a lot there. And we certainly never get any deep, impactful, punch-in-the-gut moments with their interactions. Just her being sad when things don't go her way, and her being happy when they do. And yeah, her romance with Tree is bad. It feels like she just sort of falls into it after having to spend so much time defending the Lazy Tom to her clanmates. And she only defends him in the first place because Needletail told her to.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Juniperclaw, because that story for some reason is told more through Alderheart's perspective than Violetchine's, even though Violet is the one who should be most involved in it, considering it involves both clans she ever had loyalty to. But of course she doesn't ever get the chance to be personally invested in the plot. The majority of her time as a main character is spent doing nothing other than seeing the bad things happening to herself or others, acting especially as a camera into the world of Needletail in the first half and Tree in the second. The only meaningful choice she makes isn't well-founded, and a lot of her free time is spent being mean to her sister for no reason and then forgetting about it until Twigpaw wrongs her again. Basically, she's not someone who will ever appear on my favorites list.
Sorry, Violetshine fans. On one hand, Violetshine is absolutely vital to the A Vision of Shadows story arc's existence. Darktail's Kin and later SkyClan are key focal points of the arc, and we needed a cat to give perspective inside those two entities. So yes, she served her job. However, that's all she did. She helped keep us updated on what Darktail and SkyClan were up to, but we never really understood what Violetshine was up to.
Well, I think that's just about all the Vision of Shadows I can take for one day. Maybe I'll go read a few chapters from Hollyleaf or Greywing. Some nice point of view protagonists instead. But before that, thank you, Akira, for inviting me to talk with you.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to have you. If you want to see more of Sunnyfall's Warriors analysis, I'll leave a link to her channel in the end card and in the description. Bye everyone!